Okay guys, these type of videos do really well for my channel, and if this video gets 75 likes, I'm going to give away a free copy of PUBG for PS4 or Xbox One. Make sure you hit that like button and make sure you comment so I know who to give it to, because that's the only way I'll be able to actually tell. But yeah, if this video gets 75 likes, I'll give it to a random person who has commented. Hey guys, what is up, it's Solax here, and in today's video we got a PUBG aiming video, tips and tricks for Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Now, the last time I made an aiming video on PUBG for console, the PS4 wasn't even out, so we do have a fair bit to cover, but do keep in mind all the settings that I'm about to tell you is just personal preference, and I personally think you should use them. Now, the biggest determining factor on how your aim works is definitely going to be the binding presets. If you're comfortable in A, then play with A. I personally recommend B because I'm pretty sure every Xbox shooter out there uses type B pretty much, which is just where you hold LT to aim down sights and you let go. I haven't played a game where you hold LT to soft aim and you tap LT to continuously aim in. But do keep in mind that's just personal preference, and also you do aim in faster with type B. This is because the game knows you're just going to aim in, where if you have both commands on the same button, it takes about half a second to determine which action you're trying to do. Yeah guys, with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so like I said before, we're going to go with type B for the controller binding preset, and then we go to right dead stick, the dead zone, whatever you want, just put it on. I personally have 8, so it's not too reactive, but it also is quite sensitive compared to how it was before. This is kind of the sweet spot for me. Then we go into the left stick dead zone. I honestly just leave it at 10. That's because I just like having it how it was, and it's all the same in other games. Obviously you want vibration off. If you want it on, then leave it. Okay, whatever. Now, forward running sensitivity, I usually have that at 16 or 20. I can never really make up my mind, but I'm going to try leaving it at 16, and my movement sensitivity, I have it at 8. This just helps me while I'm walking and stuff like that. Now, a big one that people don't usually consider, and this is kind of personal for me, is vertical sensitivity multiplier. Personally for me, unless it is a keyboard and mouse game such as something on PC, I always like to have the vertical movement sensitivity a little bit slower, because I want to go up and down from their chest to maybe to their head. But if there's a target on my right, I want to switch more, because 9 times out of 10 there's more distance between the target left to right than there is up to down from that person's chest to head. Now this is just a personal thing of mine, and yeah, the next setting is general sensitivity. Now I like to generally base mine between 6 and 9. Anything under or over that I just can't play with, so I like to play with 7. Alright, next we have vehicle driver sensitivity. I have that on 6. Driving in vehicles in PUBG is kind of different from other games such as Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that, and it just makes me feel more precise while I'm driving. And yeah, it really isn't a big determining factor. Vehicle driving isn't going to make your gunplay a lot better or better at all. And yeah. Now the next thing is quite big for most people such as myself, and almost all console games have aim acceleration. This pretty much means if you go from left to right, let's say you do a 360-degree turn. If you have your joystick pointing right as hard as it can possibly go, it will start accelerating further and further. This means you'll start going slow, or what the sensitivity is. So let's say you have your sensitivity on 2. If you keep turning, eventually your sensitivity might become 8 or 10. This is useful, but if you have it too high, it will destroy your aim, because when you get used to a sensitivity, you know how much input you need to perform a headshot. Or I only need to move the stick this much. But if you have it so high and you need to move the stick a little bit, it might actually go further than the head or not even close enough to the head. This is why I leave it at 1. Some people like to have it off and turn their other like optic sensitivities all the way up to 10 and stuff like that. I know, crazy, right? I just like to have mine on 1. That's just my personal opinion. I highly recommend you, experiment with your friends and stuff. Some people have it on 2, some people have it on 4. I like 1, and yeah, I highly recommend you experiment with that. Next is over the shoulder aiming. Aim acceleration does impact over the shoulder aiming, and I like 6 for over the shoulder aiming. Over the shoulder aiming is less precise, but I mostly use it with shotguns or pistols, in a very early game pretty much. And if you're in third person, because Oceanic servers only support third person, then you're pretty much forced to use the over the shoulder and aiming at some point. So definitely you want to configure that. First we have, the optic sensitivity. First, I just like to have my 1 times, your red dots and your iron sights at just 5. 2 2 times, you know, I like to have it at 4, it's kind of weird. Then when we go back to 3 times, I like to have it at 5, and 4 times at 5 as well. Now, when we get down to 6 times scopes, this is where things start to change. Now, when we get down to 6 times scopes, I like to start sniping more at long distances, so I like my sensitivity to be lower because the target is typically a lot more smaller since they're, you know, since they're further away. That's why I'm using these scopes. That's why I have 6 and 8 times scopes both at 3. Now you're probably wondering why the 15 times scope is at 20, and that is because if you played PUBG a while ago, you'd realize that the highest sensitivity for the 15 times scope was only 10, and that shit was slow as fuck, and they've only used it a couple times after, and still it is kind of, you know, alright sensitivity now while it's at 20. And if that's too fast for you, then maybe go down to 15 or something like that. But that's pretty much it just for the control type, and there's like, we got graphics and gameplay and stuff that I want to kind of, you know, talk to you guys about, which is still very important and you guys should still consider. Now, obviously you want the language that is your language. Mine being English, I have my game DVR off because it usually just clogs it up. It just records if you kill someone or if you die, and my kill feed, I like it graphic, you know, I don't have to read. I can just easily tell which weapon by just how it looks. I've just, you know, trained that way, and I use the colorblind mode. I can't even pronounce that word. I'm not even going to try to say it. Before this update came out, you could change it and it'd pretty much make the blood, I think it was purple, and it was a lot easier to spot. Also makes the circle green, and it changes a few other colors. And I'm pretty sure I've patched it out, or they've changed it so it's just still red blood, but I just left it on because I like the circle being green. And my crosshair color, I have it custom. It's kind of a light blue like you guys see before. And unless you guys are really new to the game, I highly recommend you turn off on screen button hints. It just clogs up room where someone could be camping or laying down. And compass on the background, I always have that on because the sky is very bright and the text is white, so it is like incredibly hard to see without a background on. Alright, now there are 2 things that is really personal for you, and that is field of view and the brightness. Now field of view just pretty much widens your field of view. It also morphs things if you do it crazy high. That's why when you see something like CSGO, Surfers, or something like on PC, this is mostly like a PC option. It's kind of, you know, become into console gaming, been integrated a fair bit recently. Some games like Battlefield and stuff like that. But we're getting sidetracked now. But field of view, I just have it max. I can see, you know, the most amount of things. However, it does make things appear further away, so there is a bit of a drawback to it. But I just have it all the way because you can't even turn it up that much compared to PC. And brightness, I don't know if there's something wrong with my monitor or the game's broken. I think the game's broken, but it's incredibly dark in room, so turning it all the way up feels like how it normally should be. And graphics mode, have that on frame rate priority. Do not have that on resolution priority. You want a better frame rate, you do not want a better resolution. It's not gonna, if you're on a 4K TV, it's not going to turn so you're on 1080p. It's just going to choose frame rate over resolution. It's called dynamic resolution something. I know other games like Overwatch, that's how they achieve 60 FPS. It turns down the resolution a bit when it doesn't have enough power to run both at maximum capacity, even though PUBG is 30 FPS and it still drops a fucking fair bit. Yeah guys, I know the video has been kind of short, but without further ado, thanks for watching.